Hi. Hi, it's your girl, Dezzi Pixels. I am a freelance illustrator and I help artists find clients and build businesses online. Today, we are going to have a little bit of a special topic. We're going to take a little bit of a break from talking about brand archetypes for a week, and we're going to get into that all-important question, which is, how do you improve as an artist? Now, I know me personally, I had a lot of trouble when I was going through art school. I have a very specific way that I learn, which I wasn't super in touch with when I was younger. And I would always wonder why I would have just certain teachers that they would speak to me and everything that they would say would just go one ear and out the other. Or some teachers who themselves wouldn't be the greatest of artists, but literally everything that they would tell me would be a revelation to how my process worked. These things are important to know, and the quicker you figure out what works for you, the quicker you can improve and get to where you want to with your art journey. So, we're about to get started, and we're going to talk about the 5 ways to improve as an artist. Now, speaking to what we just said, the first way to improve as an artist is to find out how you learn. Now, you probably heard back in school that everybody has different learning styles. Some people are visual learners, some people are more auditory or hands-on learners. Knowing this is vitally important because when you're developing your skill at anything new, you're going to have to absorb a lot of information. And if you're doing it in a way that your brain is not grasping onto, you're going to feel super duper frustrated and you're going to feel stupid because you like, look, I've been over here practicing all of this perspective for months and for some reason I just can't get it. And then you'll have someone come in, say it a certain way, and boo, light bulb. So, that being said, what you really need to do first and foremost is really take a deep dive, look at your patterns of when you learn information the fastest and how that was delivered to you. To give you an example, me personally, I am much better as a both a visual and hands-on learner. Definitely visual though. You can show me what you're talking about, especially in terms of art, that helps a lot with me. Also, another big thing, at least for me, for understanding new information, is I do really well when I learn all the specific principles behind what I'm trying to learn. If it was me, I'll learn how to draw by learning first what makes good line quality and good art. What is the different qualities of good line art? And start learning the underlying pinning strategies and principles behind what makes making a line art good. What this does is it allows me to, even when I don't know how to figure out a situation, I can reverse engineer it through knowing the principles of what the main things you're trying to hit are, which lets you hit the target that you didn't know you had the information to already figure out. So, for the first one, learn how you learn, because that's going to help with everything else. Next, to continue, the second way to improve as an artist is to learn information from different angles and perspectives. Like I said in the last section, I do really well with learning art and concepts through learning all the different principles that goes into what makes it good. Now, this also pairs really well with this number 2, which is learning information from different angles. This is because when you're learning new information, certain people will find more information more important than others. Now, that might be good for them because they already automatically do other things in their mind, where the only thing that they need to focus on is the problem area that learning something that one specific way helped them with. However, that might not work with you, and a lot of times it doesn't. You've probably seen this a lot, especially in your school days, where some of your classmates would get concepts that the teacher explained way faster than you did. Most likely it's because that specific angle worked really well for that one specific student. What you need to do is look at whatever you're trying to learn and go look at videos on YouTube trying to teach you how to figure that out. Go check out books from the library, read how the old masters did it, and then go and talk to other artists, see how they fixed the problem. From taking a look at your problem through all those different lenses, it gives you a lot better overview and a lot better tools of how you can come back and fix and learn the issue that you're dealing with. Now, the number 3 way to improve as an artist is to practice with a purpose. Now that you've taken all this time to learn the theory of the information that you're trying to learn through learning it from different angles, through absorbing it in a way that best fits you, now you need to get down to the hands-on work, which is putting in practice. The most important thing to do when you're practicing is focus your practice to specific subjects and specific techniques. If you're going to work on art, if you're going to practice it, practice line art by itself, where you're only focusing on improving your line art. If you're working on painting and color theory, break that down. Observe your art. What about your color do you not like? Is it too saturated? Is your colors not harmonizing together? You look at that, identify the problem, and then you focus on, oh, my colors don't seem to be matching the lighting right. Well, then I need to specifically practice and observe how light interacts on different materials and in different environments. Then you will specifically hone in on that and practice that until you feel you've gotten to a level of competency doing that task that you didn't do before. What this does, it allows you to more strategically target the areas that you need to work on and know by the time that you leave that area, you're at least better marginally than you were before, and that helps a lot in the long run of just the improvement game, where you're really just trying to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday and be better tomorrow than you are today. Now, after you do all that diligent practicing and you getting everything all together, the 4th way to improve as an artist is to seek out good critique to identify your strengths and weaknesses. Now, after you do all this practicing and all this learning, this step is really important because this is how you're going to evaluate if what you're doing is working. You want to seek out qualified critique from people who know what they're talking about to see if you are hitting the metrics you're trying to hit. Now, that being said, I'm not saying to ignore any critiques that come from unqualified sources. Like if you're an artist, I'm not saying don't listen to non-artists when it comes to critique. But know what you need to listen to from each of those different people. If you're listening to non-artists critique your work, you need to listen to how they interact with your work. When they look at it, what do they feel? What were the first thoughts that popped into their head? If they look at this and they're like, I don't really like it, it looks a little weird, that means it's probably something off with your anatomy or structure. Or if they look at it and they're like, oh, it's cool, but they really don't say anything, your fundamentals and anatomy and all that can be right, but the subject and the execution of the piece could be boring. These are the types of things you need to parse out when you listen to non-artists talk about your work. But you really need to get in there and get someone that knows what good art is, because they are going to be in a little bit better position to articulate to you what is wrong. If an artist is looking at your work and your colors are off, they can more accurately tell you why they're off and maybe how you can fix it, versus someone who maybe a musical engineer and they're not as familiar with that field as you are. Also, from when you're critiquing, you really want to look for the patterns of what people are telling you they do and don't like. This will help you identify your strengths and weaknesses, which comes in really helpful when you're building your business and putting it together, Because yes, you want to be able to work to minimize your weaknesses, but your strengths are your selling point as an artist. If people are telling you they really like these sort of things that you're doing, you need to double down on that and get that to your audience as soon as possible. Now, for the 5th way to improve as an artist is to look at artists of all success levels. Going back to what I was saying before in the last section, you need qualifier critique. And you want to get this qualifier critique from other artists, preferably of different skill levels. Because having artists of different skill levels look at your work and being familiar with work at different levels, you get a sense of what you're aiming for and what you should be aiming to achieve right now. Because the problem with what happens a lot of the time is you'll get a beginning artist or someone very early off in their career, and they're comparing themselves to people who have been in the industry for the last 30-40 years. And so, they'll listen to what they're saying about, like, oh, this is what you need to do to get in the industry, or this is what you need to do, blase, blase. Now, that might have been true back when they came through the system 40 years ago, but I guarantee you it's different now. So, you might be better off listening to an artist that gained success recently in the last couple years, because their experience is going to be a lot more relevant to where you are right now than that old master is. Now, that being said, you should still listen to that master when it comes, mostly if their work is good. You should listen to them when it comes to improving your own work, the artistic process. And of course, they're going to have good nuggets of information even for getting into the industry and things like that. But you need to know what is relevant to you at the level that you're at. An artist that's already established with a huge audience can do things that you can't as an artist with less of a following or less of a presence. They can put out prints and have them sell a decent amount to sustain a living. That's going to be difficult for you. They can put out their own original work and still gain followers and an audience, and more of an audience, where that might not be necessarily true with you. You might have to go and crank out some fan art real quick or do something else to get more eyes on your work. However, that's why you want to look at people at different levels. So the people that are closer to your level now, is probably better to listen to actual tactics with dealing with the world outside of yourself. But with listening to the condition of being an artist, from someone who's been doing this for so long, they have so much knowledge that they can give you on that front of just being an artist, you're living your life as an artist, work-life balance. Those are really important, and you should definitely seek out that information if that's what you're looking for. But as with everything I want to teach you, I want you to just be conscious of it. I want everything that I let you know to be a tool in your toolbox, so when you run into a snag, you can pull out one of those tools to get you past your problem. And now we have reached the fable time of the week for homework. For your homework, I want you to get a piece of paper and I want you to write down all the times that you've learned something new, that you felt that you had an aha moment. And then I want you to look at those situations and to see how the information was disseminated to you in that way. After that, I want you to go through all these 5 ways, and I want you to answer, what way do you learn? What artists are around you of different skill levels that you can start developing a relationship with and start getting more information on? I want you to do all these things and keep it in your nice little artist book, so that way you can reference it when we are doing more artistic development work in the future. Next week, we're going to get back with our brand archetype discussion. We're talking about the gesture brand. The brand archetypes are long. There's 12 of them. I'm sorry, me doing any subject, 12 videos is going to be... So, I will intersperse more of these special topics videos in between them to give a break between what we're talking about each week. So, that's it, and thanks for joining me this week. Sweet Jesus, it is 1,000 effing degrees. I hate it. I'm melting. This is terrible. Why does summer exist? Anyway, this has been your girl, Dezzi Pixels, And I'm hot as hell, bitches. I'll see y'all next week. Be safe and have a good one. Bye!